Welcome to Beyond the Press Release, a production of Ore column in which we take the time to speak with small cap executives after they put out important news. With us today, happy to have him back. He's all tanned up, but more importantly, he's got great news for us. Peter Pascali, President and CEO of PyroGenesis Canada, trades on the TSX under the stock symbol PYR and on the NASDAQ under the symbol PYR as well. For those of you new to the story, and we know that's going to be a lot of you because of the uplisting to the NASDAQ, because of the big news that the company put out, here's what you need to know in summary, because this is a great high-tech company. PyroGenesis is a world leader in advanced plasma processes that are being commercialized in multiple applications around the world, including plasma torches, industrial 3D printing powders, aluminum and zinc dross recovery, waste management, and even defense, where 4 U.S. aircraft carriers carry the company's technology. More than just lip service, here's some highlights from recent Q2. Revenue, $8.2 million, up 290%. Gross margin profit, $4.9 million, up 290%. Backlog of signed contracts as of August 16th, $32.1 million. But the big news that we're talking about today, PyroGenesis announces $6 million plasma torch order with another major iron ore pelletizer. And that client expects next orders to be 130 torches. And that's going to come in at a net present value estimate of $7 million per torch. Peter, welcome back and congratulations, my friend.
Thanks, George. You basically said it all, so I guess the interview is over.
You're just the looks.
By the way, George, happy anniversary to you and your wife. Congratulations.
This is the anniversary edition, and I had the day off, but this is so important that we said, let's get this done.
Thanks a million.
But thank you for that, Peter.
But
let's talk about
those are the headlines today, George, and they're extremely exciting, as you noted. Very exciting for us.
Well, slow is smooth, smooth is fast has been a mantra of yours and PyroGenesis. Yeah. And that's because you've always taken the approach of letting your investors know what's happening, things that are brewing, and they may end up taking longer because you give everyone such advance notice of you thinking you have great success, but you always end up delivering. How does it feel to have delivered on yet another vertical?
This one is probably one of the most satisfying press releases I've ever written, given what it means to our strategy, and with respect to how the iron ore pelletization industry is viewing our product offering, where we actually, George, replace the diesel burners in their furnaces, which are damaging to the environment. They burn diesel with a clean plasma torch. As I've said before, it's really easy to do. It's a plug and play. You don't have to shut down the furnace to replace the diesel burners. And when all is said and done, it makes economic sense to do it. So it's a big industry. It's a very conservative industry, but they are under a lot of pressure to do some of those diesel burners. And we seem to be the solution, the solution that is ready to go. It was for $6 million for 4 torches. The takeaway on that is it's actually the second large iron ore pelletizer who's ordered torches with the idea to replace their diesel burners. You know, they're not doing this for fun and games. They're doing this, they're very serious. They're doing it with a view to replace their diesel burners and reduce their greenhouse gases. And this was a second one that we lined up. And again, you're right, slow is smooth and smooth is fast. We wrote a deal that we like. I mean, it's benefit for both parties, but we like this deal a lot. We did note that we have changed the net present value estimate of every torch ordered from $3 million to $7 million. And I can go into that if you want in a bit, minute. But with that as background, that means that these 4 torches actually represent 4 times 7, $28 million of net present value, and that's serious. I mean, that's serious money, and we're very excited. And there's thousands and thousands of torches in the background. If the industry is going to do it properly, there's thousands of torches that have to be diesel burners that have to be replaced with our plasma torches if we're successful.
So we're gonna dive into some of those numbers.
Sure.
Before I get into that, though, how big is this from an acceptance and third-party validation point of view for the rest of the world?
It's huge. You have one player that's in there that's ordered one torch. There's no other player around, it seems, but there are. We by the way, George, we have identified 3 clients, A, B, and C, and there are more. There are more people that we're talking to. Of course, it's not just 3 players. But the reason why we limit it to A, B, and C is because, as I've said in the past, A, they may be just doing it for some strange reason. B may just be a copycat, copying their competitors. But when you get 3 multi-billion-dollar companies, each independently looking at replacing their diesel burners, then arguably you're onto something. And then there's no reason to call about D, E, F. There's no reason to start continuing. So there are more players, but we needed a second player to come on and actually buy torches to validate what we've been saying to the marketplace. And this is it. And it wasn't for 1 torch; it was for 4 torches. So that's extremely important to us.
Do you think this is an inflection point, Peter, where you're now, for the sake of the world, the industry, you've now gone over a hump, and now you're into that commercial acceptance, you're into that commercialization stage? Is that what this?
I can see from the outside world, from the investors or the public, it would be an inflection point. For me, the inflection point took place a long time ago because I'm in the discussions. I know what's happening. I know what things are being discussed. So the inflection point took place in my mind a while back. However, from the market perspective, the public who have less access to that type of information, I would suggest that it might be that the inflection point they're waiting for. As background, we mentioned earlier on that client A, who ordered the first torch, has already asked us for a request, a quote for 32 torches, which we press released. And the reason why we press released it, and it was strange, right? We don't press release every time somebody asks us for an estimate, but no, it was not for 30, it was for 36 torches, I think, 36 torches. It's such a specific number that it seems to indicate that they've already identified a furnace where they want to replace the torches. So it shows progression within this multi-billion-dollar company. And the reason why I put emphasis on multi-billion is they don't move fast. They definitely don't move fast, and they're very serious. So they don't move fast, and they're very serious. And that's why we keep on underscoring the type of clients we're talking about with.
What we do know from this, and it's not set in stone yet, is that this is client B, and they're expecting the next order to be 130 torches. I mean,
orders. The next group of orders will be for 130 torches. And
what will it take to get there? In other words, because we know smooth is fast. It's probably not going to happen tomorrow.
They just want to take these 4 torches, put them in their system, and validate that they work. I mean, client A has put in 1 torch, has got enough validation that they put in a request for quote for 36 torches. So if it mirrors that success, or we expect it to be successful, then the next batch of torch orders will be for 130 torches, I guess, ordered over time. The delivery of such we won't know. I suspect, and again, I'm talking just what good business practice would mean, that they would order them all at the same time to get a better price, and then have them delivered over time to meet their schedule. But that's what they indicated to us. And the reason was, and I don't think I'm talking out of school, was it had to do with providing insurance for these type of torches. They want us to get a scope of what the number is going to be, and they said, listen, this is what we're looking at. This is what the next steps are. So so that's in the context of a successful implementation of the 4 torches. There'll be an additional group of 130 torches that are required. So now, what's really cool about this, George, is client B is not our biggest client. Client A has significantly more need for torches. They have over 10 furnaces. Each one needs up to 50 torches. Actually, they have quite a few more furnaces than 10. So that is, So we're very excited, George. That's all I'm going to say.
Is it fair to say, and I love the smile. It's okay for, I love about this, Peter.
What?
You're having a little bit of fun and you're smiling, you're having a laugh. And I think that speaks volumes to everybody.
What type of fun we're having, George? We have no debt really on our balance sheet, right? We have no debt. We have cash on our balance sheet. We got a good investment in HPQ that puts another tens of millions of dollars of assets on our balance sheet. And right now we seem to be nailing it. We're lining everything up. As you said before, we've got a pretty good track record of delivering on what we said we're going to deliver. Not necessarily at the same time frame, but it's not because the technology doesn't work or we're slow. It's basically the process in dealing with these multi-billion-dollar companies is huge. I mean, it takes a long time. And if we want to go faster, we may agree to things we may regret later on. So we stick to our guns. We write a good deal. That's what the smoothest fast, slow is smooth, the smoothest fast comes from. So yeah, right now we're having a lot of fun.
And so it would be fair to categorize this order as a multi-billion-dollar company just being prudent. It sounds like they know where they want to go with the 130 torches next group, but they ordered these 4 first because internally they just have to go through there. Let's just make sure they work. Yeah. Even though there's no concerns, I think it's more of a prudence thing, right?
That's so what we're doing is we don't have a playbook. Right? We don't know the playbook for this. This is the first time we've gone down this road, and probably they as well. So basically what it seems like, and I've said this in the past, what it seems like they do is they want a computer simulation of their particular furnaces. So, it's a short computer simulation just to make sure that nothing untoward will happen. Once that box is checked, they order, it seems like between 1 and 5 torches to put into the environment and have them operate, again, just to tick the box that nothing untoward is going to happen. And then they go on, once all that's done, and everybody has protected their careers.
These are big moves, right? These are big moves.
Big move. If you're gonna order 130 torches and change out your whole system, there's some jobs on the line. So the prudent thing to do is what they're doing: a computer simulation, address any issues, some torches, address some, and then move on. And so the expectation is that after these 4 torches are put in place, and if they're successful, they'll go on to the other. I mean, that's the purpose of this whole thing, George. And they're not doing, as I said, just as a research project and write a paper and hasta la vista. No, this is commercial, and they have a huge need. That there's a lot of pressure on this industry to find solutions to their carbon footprint, to their greenhouse gas emissions, and there really doesn't seem to be anything out there with respect to this.
Yeah, and I want to ask you that because I always want to play devil's advocate with you as well, because that's prudent. You do talk about, and here's the quote: the iron ore pelletization industry is under extreme pressure to reduce their carbon footprint and greenhouse gas emissions. And you gave some numbers that basically come down to the world pellet industry is kicking out the equivalent of 8.7 million cars of emissions every year right now with these burners. So that tells us there's a massive opportunity. But yeah, I do have to ask, we know that PyroGenesis has their plasma torches, but is there GeorgeCom burners out there? That's another alternative. Are you guys fighting tooth and nail, or is it seem almost wide open to you right now?
No, there's some technologies out there that are on the drawing boards. Each one of them has huge issues with them, huge issues. So I don't see that. I don't see a real alternative. I don't personally see a real alternative to this. And the way they're moving, I guess they don't either. So we don't see it. There could be somebody in some other strange place in some basements coming up with something. Sure. We don't know about it.
But right now, okay, that's great to know. So
it's being discussed in the blogs or in the press. There's nothing out there that's public that we know that we know of that is a concern.
So let's talk about the big number now: $7 million net present value for each of these torches. So if this order for 130 torches comes through sometime, whenever it comes through, and like we said, slow, smooth as fast, so we don't have any reason to believe it probably won't happen, but there are no guarantees. That would mean a net present value of $910 million on an order like that. Explain to everybody at home what that means, because it's like a lottery, right? You can either take all your cash up front, or you can take it over 20 years. If you take it all up front, you get less. If you take it over 20 years, you get a lot more, but you got to wait for your money, and that's what you guys are doing.
So net present value has to do not necessarily with taking the, okay, so it's a significant number. It's a number that's important to us. And it means what type of economic benefit do you get from selling one torch? You put all this effort into selling torches. What is the economic benefit? So there's two components. There's the upfront cost of the torch, and then there's the maintenance and spare parts that come with having to manage that torch. I mean, it's our proprietary technology. We have proprietary parts. So what we have discussed with clients, potential clients, is what it would cost them to maintain it in the spare parts that we would guarantee, basically. So now, when you add that all together, you have the sale of the torch up front. It's not the sale of the torch over time, it's the sale of the torch up front, and then spare parts and maintenance over a period of time. In our original estimate, which was $3 million, we had a rather low number for torch sale.
Were you just being conservative, or did something change?
No, just we were conservative. I mean, people don't understand that I'm very conservative. Even when I come up with numbers, they think I'm trying to blue sky it. But it was somewhere between $1 and $1.3 million. I can't remember. And then what we did was we just limited the spare parts and maintenance to 5 years. Okay, the number $3 million came up, and that was a significant number. I mean, it's a significant number. So okay, that's good enough to indicate to the marketplace what's happening. As we're talking with companies, we find that the original price per torch was a little low, and that these furnaces operate for 25, 30 years. And our torches do as well. Our torches can operate for like 30 years plus. There's not that many moving parts. So we decided to increase the spare parts and maintenance estimate to 20 years, which is still only 2/3 of the, it's 20 years versus 30 years is 2/3 of it. So
you're still staying conservative.
We're still staying conservative, but it's more realistic now that we understand how the potential clients want to interact with us. So you run those numbers and you net present value it. Effectively, there's an inflation factor in there. When you commit for a long term, there's an inflation factor, which basically is the discount factor as well. So anyways, it ends up being $7 million net present value. In other words, we'd be indifferent to getting $7 million up front or getting the torch price up front and the sales and maintenance over time. It's to give investors a bit of color as to what this impact has on the company. In terms
Would you ever crystallize that? So would you ever go out into there may be companies out there that may want that ongoing annual, like you're talking about, all the maintenance fees and all that, and you get a bigger chunk of your cash up front because you go to Georgecom Finance? Or is that something that isn't really, you can't really crystallize that, you just have to let the...
Probably do. I mean, you do it for mortgages, you do it for all sorts of products that have a future cash flow. I mean, unless you need cash, why would you do it? Because you're losing. You have to discount. You have to give something up. I'm not. Unless you need cash to do something, an acquisition or something. It's possible, but I don't see how. I don't think that's something we.
Got it. Yeah, it was worth asking but it's good to know it's there in case you do have a big acquisition or something like that. You can go to ABC Financing, a big bank, and say, hey, here's the cash flow we have coming in. How do you reflect that on the financial statements though, Peter? Because if you do the 130 torch sale today and somebody discovers PyroGenesis 6 months from now, they'll look back and see the torch sale and the cash you're bringing today. But how will they know that, oh, by the way, these 130 torches are also going to be spinning off cash flow for the next 20 years?
Well, they'd have to look at our financials. They'd have to read our press releases. So
how do you account for in the financials? Is there a line item for that?
So what it's got to do is percent complete. So the torch will take less than a year to do. So all of that will be accounted for the actual torch sales itself. Let's say in this instance, I think you said $910 million. You made the number.
910 million on 130 torches.
So basically about 200 million of that would be accounted for within the first year, because that's how long it would take to make the torch, all right? And deliver it within the first, what I'm saying is less than that, probably 6 months, but within the first year, you'd account for 100% of that revenue because the torch was completed. Then every year you would account for the spare parts that were sold and the maintenance contract. So it would be every year that piece would be. So it's recurring revenue basically. That the tail end is recurring revenue that is locked in because you have the contracts and you have the spare part, you have the maintenance contract and you have the spare parts. So that's like locked in recurring revenue. That's another way. That's what you're actually looking at. You're looking at an initial torch sale and 20 years of spare parts and maintenance. So every year that would be accounted for on its own, and the torch sale would be accounted for up front.
Yeah, I was just wondering, kind of like backlog. You know how you have current contracts and backlog. You tell it. So would there be a separate line item or something, the balance or the statements that would say, by the way, we've got this much in fees that are going to come over the next 20 years from these 130, 50, 200, 300, as that number keeps getting bigger and bigger, So what would go into backlog is the contract for the torch and the first maintenance contract, the spare parts contract. So if it went out 5 years, 10 years, 15 or 20, depending on what it is, right,
inflation factor, that would go into the back. That would
go. Great. Last question, Peter. You know, I always ask you this, and it seems like it just keeps getting better and bigger, but fair to say that PyroGenesis right now, again, is in the strongest position it's ever been in its history. How happy are you and the whole team with how Pyro is executing and how the game plan is developing? I'm ecstatic, and the whole team is exhausted. I'm telling you, it's exciting. It's exciting to be here. It's exciting to, you know, a year and a half ago, it was a whole different world for us. We laid the groundwork. We laid the cornerstones. We've built this building, stone by stone, relatively conservatively, not hitting for the fences, and doing it slow as smooth and smooth as fast. It's something that it's true. And the incredible part, and this is more for new investors because we know you're being discovered everywhere now. We do a search of social media and some specific finance forums and Discord groups, and we see that the audience just continues to grow. The unbelievable thing about this, Peter, is that if this was the company's only line of business, we'd be ecstatic. But now, and we're not going to talk about it today, but you've got other applications that are also succeeding on a global scale. So it's unbelievable as to how PyroGenesis is just mushrooming its growth. It's unbelievable. Yeah. So some things that investors can look at without talking specifically is for us to line up that joint venture or partnership with the Dross in the Dross arena for downstream residues, also upstream products that we've talked about. We're working on for $40 million a piece. We're working on 2 of those. Anything that has to do with a land-based system is something that investors should also get very excited about. And when I mentioned this list before, I said I had also included any other iron ore pelletizer buying a torch. So now that box has been ticked, and we're working on the other boxes. So with respect to the other business line, 3D printing too. 3D printing is going well, a little slower than the other ones, but it's going really well. So those are some things to look forward to in the coming weeks and months. Slow is actually good news now, and in my opinion, if it happens too fast, it's almost like, hey, this is happening outside of the mantra of the company. So we know that the industrial 3D printing powder is going to pay off, you know, or it looks like that anyways. And you got the aluminum and zinc Dross recovery. So recovery. I can't wait to talk about all of those. But today we're celebrating this great milestone on the plasma torch side. Congratulations, Peter, to you. Thanks, George, and the team. Last words for your investors, especially the loyal ones who have been here from the beginning, you know, when the company was still trying to prove itself, but everyone believed in you. Last word to you, Peter.
Well, I thank my investors because they're what makes the company, right? They invest, they use the capitalist platforms, you know, which are, and they supported us. I'm very excited and very thankful to each and every one of them for their comments on your platform, for emails they send me, asking me questions, and spreading the word around and getting to know us and investing in us for who we are. And I really appreciate their support a lot.
No, I think I speak on behalf of all of them, Peter, when they say they appreciate you, the time you've always taken to engage online. Not very many people do that, to engage with these videos, especially when you're in such a massive growth phase over the last couple of years, and you still take the time out to talk to everybody, engage, and thank you for that.
It's been a little bit more difficult, George, over the past few months for personal reasons, but also business reasons. I mean, there's a lot of things happening at the same time on all fronts, and sometimes there's not enough hours in the day. But I appreciate their patience also in having us get back to them. We do get back to everybody as best as we can, and I really appreciate their patience in waiting.
Congratulations, Peter. Can't wait to have you back. Welcome back, and can't wait to see what the rest of 2021 is going to bring. I can't wait till you're back on, buddy.
Take care, George. All the best. Happy anniversary again.
And thanks for the anniversary gift. This is a great anniversary gift for me, that's for sure. For everybody home, you've been watching or you've been listening by podcast on Spotify, Google, Apple, or your favorite podcast platform. To Peter Pascali, he's president and CEO of PyroGenesis Canada, trades on the NASDAQ and the TSX under the same stock symbol, PYR. For those of you new to the story, because you saw the headlines and you got to do your due diligence, because we know this is a behemoth. It's plasma torch technology. It's plasma processes and technology that isn't the easiest thing to understand. Two ways to do your due diligence. First, get over the company's hub on Agoracom. Take a look at the profile page where we've neatly laid out for you that 1,000-foot view of the company, so you can get a good general overview of what they and understanding what they do. And then from there, link over the PyroGenesis website, do your deep dive due diligence, and hopefully you discovered your next amazing disruptive technology company. Thanks for joining us, everyone. Have a fantastic day. See you next time.
All the best.
Hey guys, this video is over, but don't forget to help your company by liking it and even leaving a comment below. And then don't forget to help yourself by subscribing to our channel and never missing another great Agoracom small cap video.